Welcome. That sounded kind of like back where I'm from in Indiana. Welcome to our weekly coaching webinar. I'm really glad everybody could join us today. So today we're going to be diving in. We're going to be talking about something surprisingly, apparently, I've not talked about in a considerable period of time, which are seminars. And the reason I wanted to talk about seminars today is, well, a couple of reasons. One of which I recently just did a seminar or spoke at a seminar last weekend in Los Angeles. So that was fresh on my mind. And then a few other people have talked to me about getting ready to present the finance suite and do demo presentations at seminars as well. And they were kind of not sure about what to do, or kind of not nervous about what to do. And I realized that I really didn't have a recent resource to be able to guide everybody to, because we haven't really covered this topic in a considerable period of time. So today I want to talk a little bit more about seminars. Now, we did talk about webinars a few weeks ago, and maybe even last week. And that's very important. If you missed that, you should go back, because webinars and seminars are fundamentally very similar to each other. It's just a webinar is done with you sitting at your desk and hosting an event online, and a seminar is with you physically going somewhere to actually host an event. So that, I think, will provide you a lot of information as well. Now, I do have a pretty basic PowerPoint here, just because there was a bunch of ideas that I had, and I wanted to make sure that I went over those ideas with you. I didn't forget. So I went ahead and created pretty basic, look at this, fancy graphics, right? I know. Only the best for our best partners. That's what you guys get, some fancy graphics. So I didn't even get to start graphic person, because these are just some thoughts that I had that I want to make sure that I address. So there's a couple different ways you could do seminars, really, if you think about it. There's one, getting invited to speak at seminars, and there's two, you hosting your own seminars. And we're going to talk about some thoughts in regards to both of those. I'll show you the presentation you could use, make sure you have access to that as well. So first of all, let's talk a little bit about getting invited to speak at webinars. Well, there's a lot of things you could do, and getting invited to speak is an opportunity for somebody to come and speak at their actual seminar presentation, whatever it may be. I've been able to speak at events like I just was with Credit Repair Expo that was hosted by Credit Repair Cloud. I've been at Credit Boot Camp with Dispute Suite before. I've spoken to small entrepreneur groups. I've spoken at wealth seminars and all different kinds of seminars. So the first way to get invited to speak at seminars is with people that you know. Make sure that everybody that you know knows you have a background in business credit and financing, and that helps you, for one, get exposed to them in case they ever do their own events. And it also helps you to get them to recommend you as a speaker if you get put into, or if they realize there's other events that you should possibly go to. So getting invited to speak makes a lot of sense. Now, one thing you should consider doing is creating your own website. So if you go to my name, tycrandall.com, and by the way, this isn't the site I'd recommend. This is years old. I've never done anything with it and probably should at this point. But this whole site is just to give people some kind of background information on me, what I do, what I talk about, my books, speaking events, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this is something you definitely should consider creating, because when you do this, it gives people basically exposure to what you do. Here's what I speak about. Here's information on the books, right? I don't really do anything now with Expert Witness, but I added that a while ago as well. Information about me, media exposure. These are all mostly podcasts that I've been featured on, magazines, articles, anything like that, contact information. On your website, you're also going to want to create what's called a media kit. And if you click at the bottom here, you can see my media kit. And this is something fairly new, because a lot of people were asking for a media kit. And it makes you look more professional if you have a media kit. So again, you can go to tycrandall.com. You can go to for a media kit here at the bottom. You can download it and take a look at my media kit to see what this looks like. And it starts here with a table of contents, which is just what it sounds like. It just explains all the documents that are in there. It has a one sheet, and a one sheet is very popular with podcast. This is basically a rundown of interview topics and questions that you may be asked, and your bio and your contact information. This is very popular with radio shows and podcasts. They want to see that you have a one sheet. So, one of the things to think about and consider doing is that if you want to be invited to speak at seminars, then you need to start building yourself as a brand and a reputation right now. Now, again, a lot of you already, when you enrolled, got bonuses of my books. And if not, the next time that you want to get something from us, we give this away as a purchase bonus. So if you're getting prepaid enrollments or the Done For You program or a single enrollment, for example, talk to Steve or Lane or whoever it was that you spoke with coming in. And if they haven't already, they can get you access to my books as a buying bonus. And then you could publish them on. You could change some things around, change your bio, make them your own, and you could become a published author overnight if you're not already an author. Becoming an author really gives you instant credibility, which is why we give away my books as buying bonuses so you can become published authors overnight, because we understand the credibility of it. So does a one sheet. Having a one sheet, and again, I just told you where to download mine so you can see what's on here, gives you what you need for radio shows, for podcasts, et cetera, where they're going to want to see things like this. A headshot, which is something a lot of sources are going to want, sample interview questions, bio, a little bit about my story, a fact sheet and quotes, because again, if I'm going to be interviewed by news sources, they're going to want this stuff. They're going to want facts. They're going to want quotes that they can use, etc. So I include those, media references, and then digital versions of my books. So this is a pretty standard media kit with the kind of documents that you could be able to create and put in yours. Again, you don't have to do this. I'm just telling you what I have now done through the years. I've now realized the bigger sources that I get interviewed with want to see a media kit. So I went ahead and created a media kit. So creating a website like this is very cheap to do. This didn't cost very much money. It's WordPress, and my website guy did it, I think, for $100, $150. He created this. And it's very easy to create a media kit as well. It just takes time. It really doesn't take money to create a media kit like this. So again, some tips there, right? Have your own website, have a media kit, take, whether you publish your own book or you take ours and rewrite the content and make it your own, those things give you credibility. Those give you a reason that people are then going to want you to get invited to speak. Now, once you do this, start getting interviews on podcast shows. That's another great way for credibility. You saw the media link on my website. A lot of it, if you look at the links, they're all podcast. And what's nice about podcast is that they give you a ton of SEO relevance as well. So if I come here, for example, and I Google my name, which is something you should do regularly, I haven't done for quite some time, then we can see here that a lot of, here's my own website, my social media, Amazon to buy the books. This gives instant credibility. So the first page here is Credit Suite referencing me, my LinkedIn account. Okay, it's videos about me. It's my own Facebook page. It's my own Udemy. It's my own website. It's my own Twitter. And it's my book here. And then as you continue on through the pages, you'll see these are all podcasts. These are all podcasts. So you could see that just page after page, I'll go to page 10. You could see that all these pages here, 441, how to build business credit, 60, so a lot of it at this point, you're already seeing, and I only have one negative guy that ever said something crazy about me that was never a client. So you can see here that, 9-10 pages deep, I'm still seeing all of these actual interviews. Now, I should reference and show that, because I've only ever had one complaint from some nut job guy that wanted our services for free, and we wouldn't give it to him. And the guy was completely psychotic. He would call us and leave us 45-minute voicemails. It was insane. But you can see that this is buried now on page 10 in Google, because page 9, page 8, page 7, 6, 5, these are all podcast interviews. So it's a great way to even come in and create an environment where you actually have a reputation, where you actually have a really good reputation online where people search you. And again, it gives you a bunch of media for your media page as well, which is really cool. Now, to get us scheduled for podcast, we use a service I've talked about before called Interview Connections. And I highly recommend them, but they're not the cheapest in the world. They're $350 for them to book 4 interviews for you a month. Do I think that could pay for itself? Yes. you're making $2,000 to $3,000 per finance suite. So if you made one sale off one podcast in 10 months worth of time, it would pay for itself. But again, if I was, starting my business, I wouldn't dedicate $350 right to this right away. That wouldn't be the decision I would make. But I do think you'll get your return on investment and then some with this. I've been with them a few years and swear by them. If you don't want to get booked using Interview Connections, and again, their prices may have changed. I don't see the prices here, but I could tell you it was about $350 for me when I got started. But they've done very good to get me booked on podcasts. But you can invite yourself to podcast shows as well. Go to iTunes, make a list, have a virtual assistant make a list of topics. Once you have a one sheet created, it's very easy for you to then come in and go either yourself or a virtual assistant reach out to the host of those shows and goes, listen, I listen to your show. I love it. It's fantastic. I think I would be a good guest, or I work with Ty Crandall. I think he would be a great guest. Attached is the one sheet. Please take a look and let me know what's the process to get scheduled. Guys, a lot of pod show hosts are trying to find guests. So by going and doing this and even making a list and emailing people, or having a virtual assistant do it, you can easily get booked on podcasts. Why am I talking about podcasts when we're talking about seminars? Because it's about credibility. Having these media links for podcasting is a great way to become credible. Plus, not to mention that these people maybe even can help you promote your seminar. So that's a great way to go. The one sheet will help you build credibility to get invited to speak at events. And again, being a podcast and being on podcasts and building this kind of credibility, the background is what people want to see. People want to see you have a history of speaking. They want to see that you're reputable. They want to hear you on a podcast to hear how you sound. So the more of that you give them, the more they know you're a good fit without ever having to actually have you on stage to determine. Nobody that hosts a seminar wants to have you on stage if they don't have some kind of background knowledge of what you do speaking, to make sure that you're going to be a credible source to have them on or have them in the actual event. So everything I'm showing you gives you that credibility. The book, the website, the one sheet, getting onto these kind of podcast shows. And again, you can make a list. You can easily pursue them that way. You can use a show like Interview Connections. You can even use Meetup. So there's a great group that I've told you about when I just talked about podcasts the other day, called the Florida Podcast Association. And they have a meetup, which is actually even tonight, and they don't even have a website. All they have is a meetup. But there's 957 members. There's over 30 people going tonight. I don't know how many. There's 33 people going tonight. These all are podcast hosts. If I went to this one meetup and only this one meetup, I would probably have 25 show hosts that would put me on their show. So boom, I just killed 25 interviews in one shot. So again, places like Meetup, these are easy ways to get featured on podcasts. So get yourself on the podcast. I talked about writing a book or using ours. Okay, creating a media page on your website. Find seminars that are a good fit for you and reach out to the organizer. That's the next step. Give yourself some credibility first. You're going to want to make sure that you have a website or a one sheet or something to reference so they know who you are. They're going to want to research. Everybody that comes to me and says, here's a potential guest for your podcast, I go research who that person is to see if they're a good fit. Your people are going to want to do the same thing, which is why you do it first. Next, find seminars that you think you're a good fit for. Maybe start locally. Anybody you know that's hosting a seminar, look at meetups for other potential ideas. You just have to constantly be on the lookout for anything to do with the seminar space. Reach out to your friends on Facebook. Hey, I'm interested in speaking at some events. Anybody let me know if there's a good event that you think that may be a good topic for business credit financing. People, groups of business owners. You have to find those groups. This is ongoing for us. We look all the time. The one that we went to this weekend was a brand new event. It was the first time hosting it. Okay, but again, we have a relationship with Credit Repair Cloud anyways. So it was easy for us to get invited because their group knows who they are. They know who we are because we posted value in their group. We constantly put value out there in the group. We've created blog posts for them. So building relationships with people that host events or could potentially host potential events is a great way to go. Even looking on LinkedIn or having a virtual virtual assistant do that kind of research. Choose topics to speak on, have more than one. When I went to this conference at Credit Repair Expo, what was nice about it was that I told them, I said, hey guys, look, here's the deal. I'll bring 5 presentations with me. And if somebody cancels or is not there, or you need somebody to fill in, I've got them all. I'm ready. They loved that. They made mention of that several times, how much they appreciate me having extra presentations on the ready if they needed somebody to speak. So I always take 3, 4, 5 PowerPoints. I usually take my main presentation, which I'll show you here a little bit later. And then I take one on getting financing. I take one about the differences between consumer and business credit. I take one about business credit scores. So I always have 3, 4, 5 presentations with me. That way, if anybody says, hey, man, I need you to fill in, I can fill in. And it's easy for me to go to the seminar host and say, I've got extra presentations if you need me to fill spots. Here's some of my topics. And then they're excited about that. They're excited to know that, hey, an opening fell up. What do we do? This person just canceled. Oh, Ty said he has extra presentations. Boom. It gets you more speaking spots by having those extra presentations available. And I can't tell you how many events I've done that I got extra speaking spots because I did that. I went to the host. I went to the coordinator. I said, hey, I've got extra presentations. If you need me, I'm here. I got your back. People cancel. People don't show up. You know how it is. That gave them great peace of mind because everybody worries about somebody not showing up, somebody not being on time. And they knew that with no notice, they could put me on stage and I was ready to go. And it happened quite a few times where I was put on stage. People, they would text me or I would get a call. They would come up to me and go, Ty, we got somebody supposed to speak in 5 minutes. We can't find him. He's MIA. Can you be ready to go in case he doesn't show up? Sure. Yeah, here you go. Boom. Type in this presentation. Will this presentation work? Yeah. Boom. I'm ready. And then they're like, deep sigh of relief, because even if their person doesn't show up, I got their back. So have presentations ready to speak on and talk about the topics you're going to speak on, and I'll make sure you have presentation. So if you're going to host your own, or let's say that you are going to host your own versus speaking at others, well, then the first thing you're probably worrying about is getting attendees. And there's a lot of different ways you could do this. You could do it at, I always call it network marketing events, but it's actually networking events, right? So BNI, Chamber of Commerce. You could go to your Chamber of Commerce and tell them you're doing an event. These are great places to pass out flyers and get potential attendees. Okay, email your existing database is one of the easiest and best ways to do it, especially if you have local database. Social media, you could post it on social media. It's probably one of the best ways. Many of our partners, if you go back and search seminars in your back office, you'll see that a lot of our partners that do seminars get their audience from email blasts. They get their audience from social media, their own social media channels, reaching out on their social media page, sharing on their company page, and then having their peers or their following on social media share it as well. Ads, you can run Facebook ads. It's super cheap to run Facebook ads. And with Facebook ads, you then have the ability to fill seminars just using Facebook ads. Canvassing, you can walk around in your local area with flyers to other businesses, to accounting offices, to attorneys' offices, to people that set up businesses, to anybody that works in the business-to-business space, and you could canvass and hand out flyers. You could do radio spots, which, believe it or not, are cheaper than you think they may be to actually get on radio. Another cool thing I saw was getting in the paper. Down here in Tampa, they've got these stickers you can put on the front page of papers that you could actually have a sticker promoting your event. And, you know, depending on how much you want to pay determines how many papers they put that on. So another great idea, getting ads in the newspaper or something on Craigslist or something in the newspaper about the event that's going on, local news publications. So again, you probably get those penny pinchers and those. Well, there's other kind of magazines too that focus on local businesses. We have those here. They're bigger magazine type formats that just focus on businesses in the community. You could pay for ads in those kind of publications as well. You could even do direct mail, where it costs you maybe 50 cents to $1 per piece. And then you send it out to hundreds or thousands of people to get your own attendees, even JV partners, where they're promoting the actual seminar for you. Anybody they promote and comes in, they're an affiliate. They get an affiliate commission. So a lot of different ways to get attendees. So if you're going to choose a venue, there really becomes 2 questions. And before you answer those 2 questions, you should probably ask this: should you even do a webinar or should you do a seminar? I've now changed. I don't do a lot of webinars, or I don't do a lot of presentations or seminars anymore. I used to, but we changed our marketing plan to stop doing them. And here's why. Because for one, the credit cruise, Dispute Suites credit cruise, which is usually referred to as credit boot camp, that takes place the end of June. Well, the credit cruise goes Monday through Friday. So that's very hard for me to cut 5 full work days to go to one event. But I can sit here and do a webinar and make 100,000 plus in sales doing one webinar. And I showed you last week or the week before exactly how to do the same thing. Gave you everything you needed, you need to succeed with that. So again, it's now hard. We've had such success with webinars that it's hard to even justify leaving to go to a seminar, because although a good seminar can pay us as much as a webinar, it requires 1, 2, 3, 4 days worth of work, right? The seminar I went out to in California, I was out the door on Thursday. I didn't get back until Monday. So I was gone many days. Now, I don't mind that because it was my weekend and I didn't mind working through a weekend here and there. Okay. But if that was the middle of my entire week, I don't want to lose 3, 4, 5 days worth of work production. So I've started to go more to webinars versus seminars, because seminars take so much time to attend. We became the big speakers at Renatus last year, real estate education event. But the problem is that when Megan would go to speak to at a Renatus event, she'd leave on a Thursday, wouldn't get back till a Sunday, and then she's got to be back at work on Monday. So she was taking 3, 4 days to do one seminar. So you have to make this determination. How much time is it going to take you to get to the seminar? What's your cost? In a lot of cases, you're paying the expenses. I don't ask for my expenses to be covered ever. Now, one of my friends, Derek Harper, he invites me to go somewhere without question. He just pays my hotel and plane, which I appreciate. But I don't ask to have my expenses covered if I'm speaking at seminars. So you've got a cost of $1,000 possibly for hotel and rental car maybe, or the flight to get out there. So there's things to take in mind before you even think about it. You need to decide, how much time are you going to spend? What's your cost to do the seminar? How many people are going to be there for you to potentially speak to? You have to determine whether the seminar makes sense or not to go to. As you may imagine, I get invited to speak to hundreds of different events, and most of them I don't go because they're small. They're 50 people, they're 100 people, and I'm not going to travel out of here to speak to 50 or 100 people. If you've got an audience of 150, 200, 300, 500, 2,000, then typically I'll travel for the larger audiences, but not for the smaller ones. That's my threshold. What's yours? You have to determine that. Now, once you determine that and you've decided to do your own seminar, for example, well, then you need to just choose a venue. And the question here becomes, do you want to pay, or do you want to go one at no cost? That's the big question, because paid venues have a huge financial commitment. If you're doing your own event, your own seminar, you're booking a whole room, there's all kinds of commitments that you must meet. Food and beverage, you have to buy so much food and beverage, etc. So these are things you need to determine. Or some at no cost, maybe the side room of a restaurant, for example. So for your first events, find a smaller room. You can get them cheap or free. They have them at a lot of hotels. Okay, you maybe even want to try a restaurant that serves food, where you go to the restaurant owner and say, let me use your side room. You're not using it 1 or 2, it's empty. Let me fill that room for you, and then you can sell food and drinks during that and make money. And then you get a free deal where they let you get in there for free. Okay, I used to run a networking group called the Rooters Club, and we never paid for our location because we filled the room and everybody bought lunch. So we were accounting for 20 or 30 extra lunch sales that day for them versus if we weren't there. So they like those type of things. Choose a location that's convenient to you, that's easy to get to. Okay, I see a lot of people make this mistake when they're hosting their own events. They think, well, I did one coast, now I'm going to do the other coast, or I helped people here in Florida, now I want to help people in Texas. But I can tell you from people that host events in multiple states, it's very difficult to take all your gear, your equipment, etc., to different locations. So find a location that's convenient for you as well. What time are you going to do it? Well, think about when business owners are available. I mean, for the most part, once they're at work, they're not going to usually stop their day. You're not going to want to do one at 2 o'clock where in the middle of the day I have to leave to go to an event, because even if I plan on it, my day gets out of control, and then all of a sudden I decide I'm not going to go. Okay, so consider early morning before a workday starts, lunchtime. And consider the evening, consider on weekends, consider when business owners aren't primarily working, because then that gives them a best opportunity of attending. When we do our webinars, We found 5 o'clock is a good time to do a webinar. 5 o'clock Eastern if we're trying to cater to East Coast people, 8 o'clock Eastern if we're catering to West Coast people. It's 5 o'clock their time. Those tend to be very good times. But again, test yourself to figure it out. But I do recommend that you try to do it in a time where somebody's not in the middle of a work day, or I think it's going to create issues for you, okay? So here, let's talk in a little bit about the presentation. Now, here's the presentation that I just recently used. And this is available if you go to creditsuite.com/resources. This is available last week with last week's webinar on webinars. I went ahead and did this. Here's the presentation I use. You'll notice my presentations for webinars are very different than seminars. My presentations for webinars don't have much content on the slides. They are just simply reminders to me of what I'm going to talk about there. Okay, that's all they are. Now you'll notice my webinars my webinar slides are much closer to this, where they just have a bunch of different bullets and content. I find this is a distraction during seminars. I find that if I want eyes on me and paying attention to what I'm saying, not trying to write down or take pictures of every slide. And that is what happens now. It used to be that people weren't listening because they were writing it down. Now everybody just lifts their camera up in the air and they take pictures of it. Another thing is you may want to tell them, hey, at the end, I'll tell you how to get access to my slides. That's another great way to do it. Matter of fact, I should have done that. I'll talk to you about that in a second, a better way to do that. But you can see that my seminar slides are very simple. All I'm typically doing is I'm just coming in here and I'm just mentioning one point. And that just reminds me of what to talk about. Look, if you're not comfortable with that, then add bullets to yours. You can go to creditsuite.com/resources, grab my full webinar from last week that I actually was talking about, and then use that. That has plenty of it. That can work for your seminar presentation all day long, no worries. If you want something that has more content, then grab my presentation from last week in that resources download. Or if you like this, then go with this. Go with this, just reminds you of what to say and you talk about it. Look, if that makes you nervous, I was the same way. I'll never forget my first boot camps. Every single word I was going to say was on my slides. And then the host is like, no, dude, you need to reduce the content. And I took out some of the words, but I still left really detailed bullets. And then eventually I got so familiar with the content that I was able to just give myself 3 to 7 word reminders here. And then I know what I'm going to talk about. And now this prompts me of what to talk about, and then I talk about the rest. So when it comes to the presentation, there's a lot of different things you can present on. This is one of my go-to presentations of business credit, Business Credit 101, how to get business credit for your EIN that's not linked to your social. I usually start with my story, which is why I have these things here. Okay, and you'll have to remove them to make them yourself. I start with what business credit is, an overview. I give examples of actual approvals. I then talk about all the benefits, and this is probably the majority of the presentation is all benefits. You can see here that from slide 7 to slide 29, so that's 22 slides of 50. Nearly half of my presentation is on the benefits of building business credit because it's important. I want to talk about why you should care, why this matters, all the awesome things business credit can do for you. And then I get into the actual steps of building business credit in steps slide 31. Steps to build business credit. And again, your phone number, your email and website, these are just to remind me what to basically say. Okay, you're going to want to remove our link because these weren't designed to go to you. They were just designed to give you our raw resources. Okay, and then again, we just go through the steps, and then the last thing we do is we wrap up. That's what we basically do. That's what I do in a seminar. I find that 50 slides is an hour. So if I give you a presentation, they're usually either 30 or they're either usually 25 or 50 slides. 25 slides means I expect to go 30 minutes. 50 slides means I go about an hour. You may be different than me. Okay, you probably are, right? I'm sure most people don't speak as fast as I speak, but I know and I have myself down to a point where I know a 50 slide presentation gets me through an hour. So you might want to tweak it a little and figure it out, but that's what I found. That allows me roughly a minute to speak on each slide with some extra time to focus on some more topics. I use Fix Your Funnel for this. And I don't usually use assets. I only do this usually for credit repair industry. But I do this. And by the way, do not do this. Do not text the word assets to this number, because we will think that you attended that event. You'll get emails and all kinds of stuff you don't want. If you want these assets for some reason, then go to info@creditsuite.com, email the guys, and they'll let you know. So this, for example, matter of fact, I'm just not even to distract you, I'm just going to delete that. Okay, so what happens here is that, I usually have, well, I got to put that back. So I usually have this. So they can text this word to this different number. And I usually have a number they text. I set this up through a service called Fix Your Funnel. And Fix Your Funnel then sets off an automatic conversation. It says, hey, to be polite, what's your first name? And then it says, hey, Ty, what's your email to deliver your resources? And then I type the email and I go, boom, here's the link to download, and I just emailed it to you. I do that because I find that I can get 50 to 60% of the room to text me that phone number or text that number to get something cool at the end. That means I have their cell phone, their first name, and their email, which gives me everything I need. I then set up emails to trigger when they do that, so when the event is done. So everybody that texted that word to this number at the event I just attended is getting emails now this week with links to our specials, et cetera, because they texted that number. So I use the text because I found that I can get about 60% of the audience to give me their phone number, first name, and email that way. So it works well for me. And you just have to do it with giving away something cool. I usually give away a free guide for building business credit. Here's a free guide, the most popular guide on building business credit, how to get credit for your EIN. That's not like your SSN. Hey, you can even follow along with us, right? I put it on the bottom of the slides here too. And I tell them in the beginning, I tell them in the end, and I say here, hey, you can come in here and text this number, this word to this number, and you're going to get this guide, and you could follow along as we go. The guide has even more detail than I'll cover today. So now they have an exciting reason to grab that guide, and that's how you get the audience's information. A lot of places where you're attending somebody else's seminar, they will not give you the list of attendees. So this is a great way to capture half of the audience in that room, just in case you don't sell them there. Okay, so this is a great way to go. Now, my other webinar that I did on the 250,000 that I showed last week is also a great way to go. It really is a great presentation to do. And this isn't probably my most updated version, but I will pull it up. So again, using the 250,000 webinar is great as well. About you, what you'll cover. Here's the assets that they can come in again. And then we talk about the same thing. What is business credit? Why is business credit awesome? The benefits. We talk about the steps to build business credit. We just have a lot more case studies and social proof in this one. And then again, in this one, we then go to a demo right here. And I'm not going to spend a bunch of time going through this, because if you attended last week's webinar, then we already walked through this entire presentation, every slide. If you didn't attend last week's webinar, shame on you. But it's not too late. You can go back in your back office and do so and walk through it. So there's more than one presentation you need. If you go to creditsuite.com/resources, you'll grab my most updated version of this. You'll also grab the Business Credit 101 I just showed you. And if you go to creditsuite.com if you go to seminars in your back office and marketing resources, you'll find additional PowerPoints you can use as well. The PowerPoints I like to arm myself when I go to an event. I have my main one, and my main one is typically almost always this one, or almost always this one. It's almost always one of these two is my main one. Then I have a second one, and the second one is like how to get business financing, right? So I have a topic on business credit, and I have another topic about business financing. If I'm talking about our partner program, then I'm talking about why you should consider offering business credit financing as a service. You don't need to know that one because you're going to be getting partners. Well, you could be getting affiliates, so that could be a benefit there. I have other ones under back office that you can access on how business credit scores work and the difference between business credit and financing. Usually usually those are my 4 or 5 webinars I have ready to go, with this one being my primary. And again, I told you the reasons on why you want to have secondary ones also available for you. So here's your actual presentation as well. Now, when it comes time to closing the sale, then some things to think about here is that, you want to spend about 80% of your time on the presentation, about 20% of the time actually pitching. Should you pitch? It's a good question. I just was at Credit Repair Expo. I did not pitch from stage because a lot of people do not want you to pitch and sell from stage, and I don't pitch and sell from stage because I respect those hosts' desire to not do that. Will they let you pitch from stage? Will they not? These are things you need to know. If they let you pitch from stage, that's when this 250,000 webinar comes into effect, because this is a 90-minute presentation where this whole last part of it, from slide 36 to 50, or from slide 34 to 50, is all designed as your close. So if you're not allowed to close, well, then it's not going to provide you a lot of benefit, because 34 to 50 is all about the close. If it's not something that I'm actually allowed to pitch, or I'm not pitching, that's when I go with this Business Credit 101 I showed you, because that's really designed where I don't have a pitch, where all I'm doing is just providing content. So you need to know, can you pitch from stage? Can you close? Can you not? If you can pitch, or you're doing your own seminar, you're going to 80% should be presenting. If you look through my 250,000 webinar, that math probably makes sense, because if we look at this, 36 to 50 of the slide is the pitch. So that's 14 slides of 50, but you also have to keep in mind that I also did a demo in between, which took 15 minutes. So of my 90 minutes, I'm usually only spending 20 with the pitch. The other 70 minutes were all about content. So I think you should talk about content or the presentation about 80% and maybe 20% of the closing time. Again, to give you an idea of what I do, I spend 90 minutes on a pitch webinar. Okay, that's kind of my rule of thumb. If I'm not pitching, I need about 60 minutes to provide content. If I'm pitching, if I'm going to go in and ask for somebody to buy, then I need about 90 minutes. Okay, that's kind of the way that I gauge how much time I need. And about 7 or 20 of that 90 minutes is dedicated to closing. They must feel they learned a lot they didn't know. That's what's important. If you're going to pitch from stage, the hosts may not mind it if you actually provided so much value that the people that go through the pitch don't really care to be pitched. Nobody likes to be sold or pitched, okay? But what I found is that it's pretty tough for somebody to be angry that goes through your entire webinar and gets a bunch of free information, and then complains because you spent 20 minutes giving those people that want an opportunity to buy. And don't get me wrong, I've had those people on my webinar. I've had those people on my webinars through Q&A that are like, hey man, if I had $3,000, I wouldn't be here. And then I basically say something that they'll never send another negative comment, where I say, look, I get it. And I even say the comment, hey, Joe said if I had 3,000, I wouldn't be here. And I said, Joe, no problem. No worries. I get it. As you know, I just sat here for 90 minutes, and almost all the time, all I did was teach you exactly what business credit is, the benefits, and how it works. I armed you with all the information you need to do this on your own, but I'm not going to neglect the people that want the faster path. I'm not going to neglect the people that want to take the years of business credit building and condense it to only months. So I think you'd agree, and everybody would agree, that you got a ton of value here, whether you work with us or not. Now you just have an option. You can do it on your own and take longer to do it and spend more, or you can work with us, save some money, get it done a little bit faster. But even if you decide not to work with us, you still got a ton of value out of this. That rarely ever happens. Rarely ever do I have somebody to seminar or webinar that even speaks to the fact that that I'm talking about buying. But when I say that phrase, they calm down and immediately start coming in with apologetic comments, and they start providing value. And that person in that last webinar, then they started telling people through comments that they should enroll with us. It was a crazy switch. So most people are not going to be that way. 99% of people that I've ever had in front of me have always felt like they got a lot of value. They left with a lot of actionable information, even if I did ask them to buy. And I often say that at the end of a seminar or webinar. I say, look, hey, My goal is that you walk away with a bunch of actionable information. Now you know exactly how to build business credit. If you do it on your own, it's a longer path. It'll take you more money, but you know exactly how to do it. If you decide to work with us, great. I'd love to work with you one-on-one. I think it'd be awesome for you to work with us and our team and da da da. So I even reference the fact that, hey, you got a lot of value out of this, and that's the goal. Ask for permission to talk about the solution and how they can get it. I always do this. I told you this last week when we talked about webinars. In the webinar, I'll leave open loops. I'll say, hey, later I'll tell you how to get a 411 listing for free. Later I'll tell you how to get away from paying Dun & Bradstreet money. Later I'll tell you how to fix inaccuracies on your credit report. Then through the demo, I plan on showing them all those things. So when I'm usually wrapping up the actual PowerPoint to the demo part, I'm usually at 60 minutes into the webinar at that point or seminar. And then I ask them, I say, guys, we still have some time here. If you're okay with it, I'd like to show you exactly how our clients build business credit, what they're doing to condense years of business credit building to months. Is that okay? And in a webinar, yeses will fill the comment box. And in a seminar, everybody's like, yeah, dude, let's do it. Then I go into a live demo of the finance suite. That's what I do. If I have 90 minutes to pitch, I'm doing a live demo. I'm coming in, I'm using this 250 webinar presentation that I showed you. And just like we talked about last week, I'm doing a demo to actually show the finance suite while I'm there. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing to coming in here, and then I go how to easily get business credit financing in one place, and that prompts my demo. And hey, man, you guys want? I'll show you how our customers do this. I get fast results, and everybody's like, yeah, I want to see it. And then I'm off to a demo presentation. Okay, so again, I ask them for permission because now they've given me permission to even present to them. Make this more of a, if you like this, and you'll probably also like this versus a hard sell. And again, that is kind of the approach I take. Hey, like, guys, if you like this information, I can show you exactly how our clients do it and show you how to get the 411 listing and a lot of those things that we talked about. So again, use the tactics outline, the benefit review, bonuses, guarantee. These are all things we talked about last week. Make sure they know that if they don't buy during the event, they can't really buy at all. And you don't want to tell them that. I tell people, I say, look, you can buy from me anytime you want to buy. But during this seminar, I'm giving you 20% savings and 4 powerful bonuses. And you're only going to get those during the event. So you enroll during the event, you get those bonuses. I don't say you only get them during the event. What I say is if you enroll during this event, you get the bonuses, you get this. This prompts action. You have to create an outcome where if they don't buy during the event, they have faced repercussions. You only get the bonuses. You only get the discount if you buy there as part of the event. And I don't say only during the event because I lose credibility, because every event I attend, I give them a chance through the following Friday to buy. But if I sat at the event and said, you have through next Friday to buy, nobody'd buy. So I want to say, look, if you're buying at this event, you're going to get bonuses, you're going to get a discount. Okay. And then that way it prompts them to buy. And there's a feeling of loss if they don't get it there. Then I run emails that give them a chance to buy the week after the event as well, with a countdown timer on the actual page where the offer expires. And again, I do this because I want to make sure that I do this because I want to make sure that I prompt them to take action quickly. And you could go to last week's webinar and you can see that countdown timer that I'm talking about. So the whole purpose of this flow is that you teach them about business credit financing. It's available. They want it. They realize it's complicated. Then you provide an easy solution that's affordable. This is something new I've done, and I haven't created a slide for this yet, but I now reference this. I've realized I mess up because I talk about business credit so much. I talk about it like it's easy, and then nobody wants to work with this. So now I'm even creating a slide with like 100 questions that people have asked, and they're real questions, to show how complicated it is. And I tell people now, I say, guys, look, I make this seem simple, but don't get me wrong. This isn't simple. It's complicated. You know, you might not get your DUNS number from Dun & Bradstreet when you try. If you don't know the underwriting guidelines for sources, you're going to apply and get denied. I start talking about all the problems that people are going to have, because that's the whole idea. Is you want to say, hey, look, here's what business credit is. Here's how it works. It's complicated. If you want it to be easy and fast, then you work with me and it won't be complicated. The goal here is to give them almost enough information to do it on their own, but create it to make it sure they understand it's so difficult of a process that if they do it on their own, they know they're going to get stuck. That's the goal here. Offer weekly payments, offer monthly payments, offer a small down payment. Remember, a lot of people may not buy because of affordability. I've learned this in webinars and seminars. When I'm talking about price, I tell people, I say, listen, Um, don't let price be a barrier, please. We have all different kind of options. We'll work with you on a custom payment plan. Get with us. And people say, "Hey, man, can you take $100?" I said, "Look, just give us a call. We'll talk to you one on one." And so this way, I don't turn anybody down. And the reason for that is because a lot of people might not be able to afford $700, but they can afford 600. A lot of people can't afford 800 monthly, but they can afford 200 weekly for some reason. So you don't know those things until you get the person on the phone. So I always tell them, never let price be a barrier. If you like what I talked to you about today, you need to get on the phone with us and let us talk to you more, because we can work with you on those type of things. It's also a good idea to fill out your audience. Ask questions. Who's interested in building business credit? Who's looking for financing right now? These are called pre-qualifiers. So if you stand in front of an audience, it's a normal question to sit there and go, "Hey, so who here already has established business credit where you could go out and not even use your EIN or not even use your social and get $50,000 limit credit cards?" And 5 people raise their hand. Well, 95% of the audience need what you have. You can ask these kind of pre-qualifying questions. How many people here have put aside, $3,000 to grow your business? That's a qualifying income question. So you can ask these kind of qualifiers to get a feel for who in your audience may have the money to spend. How much of your audience has the money to spend? How much of your audience has or doesn't have what you need, what you have that they can get? So these are called pre-qualifiers. Don't take questions from stage. Ask questions that come up individually. I do this all the time. What happens is when you let people ask questions during the middle of a seminar, you have completely shot yourself in the foot, because now you've opened up the door for everybody else to start asking questions. And the problem with that is that many of the questions you're going to be asked, you're going to cover. If they would just stop and let you present, then you would already cover the question if they'd let you get to the end. So just by telling them, "Look, I will get to your questions at the end. That way I can respect the people that just want the content and don't have questions." What'll happen is you'll eliminate 80% of your potential questions, because your presentation would have answered the question if they would have allowed you time anyways. The second thing is you completely get thrown off the game when people ask you questions. When you try during webinars and seminars to ask questions, you completely messes up your mojo, messes up your thought process, and it completely just screws you up. So ask them at the end. And I like to do this for another reason, because if there's not enough time at the end to answer questions, then I say, okay, come back to the back of the room and I'll answer questions one at a time. And so then you open up to have an opportunity to then get them one-on-one, which gives you a better sales opportunity. So I do not agree with the idea of answering questions from stage. I think it's bad practice, but hey, I'm wrong. I don't criticize the people that do. Everybody's got their own thing. I've just found no benefit to do it during a presentation. I do it at the end or make them come up individually. Use a takeaway. They buy during the event or don't buy at all. We talked about this. Focus on end goals. Maybe even ask some of the audience about their business and what their goals are. The audience needs to be thinking in the future. Again, this is called future pacing. So it's a good thing to say, hey, think about what would you do if you had $50,000 for your business right now? That's a great question, because then you immediately get people mentally spending that money. And then in the end, when you talk to them about how the business finance suite helps them get 50,000 or more, then all of a sudden they now have a way to get that money that they just spent all that time thinking about what they would use the money for. Okay. Get them a survey too at the end. Especially your first one. What brought them to the event? How did they hear about it? Why they didn't buy? If they didn't, what are they looking for? Money, credit, whatever other info that you can think of, referrals, get their email address. Surveys are good because surveys give you an opportunity to fill the room next time. They give you the opportunity to come in and to be able to get information to know where these people came from, what they liked, what they didn't like. I love that. Credit Bootcamp used to do that in the past. They did a survey on which speaker was the best, all these type of things. Then they knew which speakers to give more content to in the future. It was how they planned their next events. So if you're doing your own survey, then this is a great idea to do. Ask, where did they come from? How did they hear about us? What made them take the decision to come? Another question is, do you charge for your seminar? Should you charge or not? I have no opinion there. The benefit of charging is that you're going to have more people show up that pay. And if you don't charge, you're going to have a bunch more people register that won't show up. People that have money invested have a reason to show up. That podcast meetup tonight costs 30 bucks, 10 bucks, 30 bucks. It costs a little bit of money, but not enough to be a lot of money. So again, maybe he makes 500 to 1,000 bucks on that. I don't think he's doing it to make 500 or 1,000 bucks. He's doing it for the connections. So should you charge? Should you not charge? I think that's up to you. I think there's benefits both ways. And if you go through and search seminars in your weekly on your live training webinars, you'll find many people that have done it both ways, that charged and other people that didn't charge both ways. Should you supply food? I don't think you should. I've personally been flown up to Illinois and spoke in front of a room where not one person bought. And the reason is they did everything wrong, including feed the people. And then they promoted the event as a free lunch. Well, everybody's going to go for free lunch. I mean, down here in Florida, man, you have a free lunch. Like you have like 80 to 95-year-old people fill the room in thousands to get free lunch because it's the way it is down here. So, giving away meals for free, I think is a bad idea because then you're attracting people that are just there for the meal. I'd better do a seminar at a restaurant where people pay for their own meal than paying for them. The more you give them, the more they're coming just for that. If you're giving drinks and coffee, people aren't going to go to a seminar just to get drinks and coffee, but people will go to a seminar just to get free food and learn something. Why not? Hey, I'll go learn something I really don't even care that much about to get a free lunch. Well, I'll do it. I mean, not me personally, but a lot of people think that way. Okay, so you got to be careful with stuff like that. I don't know if you should pay or not pay. My best advice is to test, but I do not think that you should give away a free meal. I think that that's bad. Use video and pictures. Make sure you get video of the event. The first seminar you ever do, the whole goal of the seminar is just to promote it the next seminar. So you got to get video of you speaking. You got to get video of the guests. You got to get all this video. So then you can hire a video person to create some kind of demo reel for a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes to promote your next event. You got to get that video. You could fire up your own video camera. You can hire a videographer. You could find a friend that has some video experience or connect with somebody on Facebook that does. A bunch of options here. Make sure you get pictures of the event. This is really big. A lot of pictures. This is all going to be used to promote the future event. Make sure you get testimonials. This is huge. Every person that's there, you've got to get a video of in your first seminar that goes through and tells them, hey, this is what I learned. I love this event. Here's what I got out of it. That's all what you're going to use to promote future events. So on the event I just attended, I thought this was super cool. They had a professional photographer there that took all kinds of really good pictures of me presenting. And I can tell you that I presented at a lot of different events. And this is the very first one that anything like this has happened. These guys emailed me the next day and they said, here's a link to your pictures. You can download any of them. And they're all professional pictures of me speaking. I mean, there was at least 20 of them that were really, really, really good. And they let me download them and they're my pictures. That's super cool. As a speaker, I really appreciated that. And I told him that. I said, this is super cool that you guys would do this. This means a lot to me. Thank you. So again, take pictures. If this has a lot of value, get testimonials, get the video. This has a lot of value to you. And in the future, if you ever host your own events and bring in outside speakers, do the same thing for them because they appreciate that. So a lot of our clients that do partners that do seminars, they do co-seminars, which is a great idea. They go to an accountant in their town and their accountant and them co-host a seminar. The accountant talks about accounting and they talk about business credit and financing. The accountant promotes the event, they promote the event. So if you have people that will do the work and that will also promote the event, et cetera, you want to get them as well. You want to make sure that you have a videographer come in, have photos taken, send them professional photos of them speaking. It will mean a lot because a lot of times people don't have that done. They don't get that done. This event I was with one of my friends, Derek Harper. Derek brings his own videographer. It was pretty sick. I was looking at this videographer doing his editing work. He has like his drone that like flew above Derek and had Derek coming out of the house and had Derek getting in his car and had Derek driving down like the road to the event. And dude, it was awesome. He was putting together this whole demo reel of Derek. So again, bring your own video person, your own photo person if you can afford to do so. And that's why I said to Derek, I said, personally, I think it's insane because we were talking about the difference between Five Guys burgers versus In-N-Out, which, by the way, if you ask my opinion, Five Guys quality of food crushes In-N-Out. But the conversation was, he said, yeah, Five Guys is expensive. I'm like, dude, you travel with your own entourage of videographer and photographers. What do you mean Five Guys is expensive? It's a little bit more expensive than I'd want to spend, but it's something to consider to bring somebody to take pictures and video for you if they don't have someone and you're attending an event. But if you're doing your own, it's a good idea to have these things covered. Remember, if you're doing your own seminar, it's not going to be a huge success typically. You're doing it to get the video, to get the images, to get the testimonial, to promote your future events. If you get no sales out of it, that's the benefit to be able to do that. So some other tips to keep in mind. So a lot of things we talked about here today. First, do you want to host your own seminar or do you want to attend other people's? We talked about exactly what you need to do. If you're hosting or if you're attending other people's, get that credibility, get the one sheet, get your book out there, get your website out there, get your media kit. Any or all of those things can help you build credibility. Once you build some credibility, now you come in and now you have an opportunity to go get on podcasts, to go find people on LinkedIn that have seminars, to talk to people in your inner circle, to find the seminars that you want to go to speak at. Don't look at ones like traffic and conversion. Don't look at ones like GKIC and social media marketing world. A lot of these people spend $10, $15, $20,000 to be sponsors at those bigger events. Look at ones that are a little bit smaller events. I just put myself in for a veterans seminar that happens once a year. It really has a fairly small audience. It's, I think, a couple hundred people, but I am a veteran and I have a deep place in my heart for other veterans. I'm just that way. A lot of people, we hire vets. I feel more comfortable on vets. It's just one of the things between being a veteran. So I wanted to speak to give back. I mean, I'm not even there to really make sales. We're not going to bring an entourage and a bunch of people. I'm just going to go to speak. So I found that online because I was looking at something. I'm like, wow, this is a whole seminar that teaches veterans how to run businesses. I'd like to provide, I'd like to help with that event. So again, you're going to find these events a bunch of different places, but some things to keep in mind. Have multiple presentations ready. Know that you're going to have some expenses there. Find out, can you pitch from stage? Can you not? How much time are you going to have to choose the right presentation, to choose the right topics? Make sure they get the name of your topic right. You want that right on the program. A lot of people have these really crappy titles to their presentation, and then mine blow people away. And so people come to my presentation over everybody else's. And I see this all the time. At Credit Bootcamp, I see this all the time. People are like choosing topics like how to get a merchant account. And then my topic's how to get $250,000 in business credit for your EIN that's not linked to your social security number with no personal credit check or guarantee. Mine sounds cool, yours doesn't. So people will come to mine because it sounds cool, but only if I give them the proper name of my presentation. Okay, so business credit 101, pretty crappy. Business credit 101, how to get credit, business credit for your EIN that's not linked to your personal social security number, better. So again, a title that even talks about the topic and the benefit of the topic really helps a lot there too. I think that those are some things that can help you when you're actually speaking at somebody else's event, that can help you there as well. Now, again, if you're hosting your own, a lot of things to think about here, right? So you want to think about and think through, where you're going to do it, a paid venue, or you're going to do a non-paid venue. How are you going to promote it? We talked about different ways to promote it. Are you going to charge them money? Are you not going to charge them money? Are you going to get meals? Are you not going to? Are you going to bring somebody else to co-host it with you so you could talk about more topics? Is it just going to be you presenting, or is it going to be other people and you're going to spend a half a day because two of your friends that offer different services, you guys are all going to get together? The more you can work with other people to do it, the better, because then you have more people promoting it and people have more of a benefit to come, right? This is why if you go see car dealerships, they're all like right beside each other, because if I'm going to go car shopping, I'm going to go to the area that has 5 dealerships in one place, because like there's 5 dealerships in one place, so more than likely I'm going to find one that I like. Okay, so it's the same thing here. If I can go to a seminar for a half a day and listen to 5 people speak, I'm more prone to go to that one than just go to one with one person speaking. So some things to keep in mind there as you're hosting your own. And again, social media, Facebook ads, there's so many different ways you can promote these things to be able to get a lot of people there. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. If you have any questions, go ahead and type them in now. Let me get those questions answered. I might want to make sure that any questions that you have are answered. Okay, what's the name of that service? Jennifer, ask me again so I know. Can we get a copy of that slide? And you've left, but yes, the slides are available at creditsuite.com/resources. The ones from last week. These other ones, if you want, just email us and we'll get that to you. Oh, the texting service. The texting service is called Fix Your Funnel, is the texting service. And they do a bunch of cool stuff. I'm a really big fan of Fix Your Funnel. We use Fix Your Funnel for a bunch of different stuff. But Jennifer, there's a bunch of these that you could do the text through. A lot of them. I use Fix Your Funnel. I highly recommend Fix Your Funnel. We do a lot of things that Fix Your Funnel does. We use their services for. I think they're fantastic. So hopefully that helps you there. So we talked about a lot of stuff: how to host your own, how to build the credibility to be on another seminar, how you present, how you close, how you follow up and send emails after the event takes place. If you combine this information with the information from last week on how to do webinars, I think that you'll have everything you need to successfully do a webinar or seminar. And look, the only way you ever get comfortable with public speaking is to speak in public. Okay, and there's groups out there that will help you get past public speaking concerns, meetups that will help you, all different types of ways to get over public speaking. But look, it's okay to be afraid. I can tell you, I still get on stages and in the same way. This last event I did, Derek on Sunday said, Ty's going to come up in 30 minutes and talk about this topic. And I had no PowerPoint. I just had to talk about the topic, and it made me nervous. And the first thing I did when I got up there is I said, guys, look, I made a joke. I said, hey, look, I'm here with no PowerPoint. This is not how I work. I am ADD, or I am OCD. I have to make sure that I'm completely prepared. I practice my presentation. I know my slides. To be up here, I feel completely naked. So one of two things is going to happen. This is going to be the coolest thing ever, and I will take all the credit, or it will be a complete disaster, and then it's Derek's fault. And then everybody laughs. So it lightens the mood up, and it lets people know I'm in an uncomfortable scenario here. I'm not comfortable, so stay with me. People like that kind of vulnerability, and I am not afraid to tell people in any situation that I am uncomfortable. And I've realized that because then people say, hey, no worries, and they seem to be more accepting and allowing me to make mistakes. So just do that. Just tell people, hey, guys, look, I know a lot about business credit, but I don't know a lot about public speaking, and this isn't my most comfortable thing. So stick with me. If I don't look really comfortable, it's up here. It's because I'm not really comfortable, and hopefully, you'll give me a fist bump when I'm done. And then people will be cool with you. So don't be afraid. The more you speak, the more you talk, the better. Practice, rehearse, go through the presentation in your head. I still do it to this day. I go over and over and over my presentations in my head before I present. And the more you do it, the more familiar and comfortable you'll get. It takes ADD. Me too. Yeah, I know, Leslie. You can relate, right? Just had signs printed for seminars. Timing was perfect. Perfect. Signage for seminars, flyers. I love that. And don't forget, guys, stuff like Quill, you can get those done. So if you need any help along the way, reach out to us. Support@creditsuite.com. Support@creditsuite.com. We will help you with this in any which way or form that we can. But now, if you look back through what we talked about last week with webinars and this week with seminars, you should have the information you need to host a really successful webinar or seminar, and also the information you need to get invited to speak at other people's seminars. So I'm going to wrap this up. If you have any other questions, everybody reach out and let us know. That is support@creditsuite.com. Thanks, everybody, very much. Have a great day. I will see you next Tuesday at 3 o'clock Eastern. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.